Welcome, everybody. Can you hear me? Let's go. It's draft weekend. Are you excited? I am. Yeah, I can't wait. We got ranks tonight. That's all I'm doing. Am I lagging? It looks like I'm lagging. I don't know. I'm super rusty at this, guys. If you follow the podcast, the YouTube, whatever, you've probably noticed not a lot going on. But hey, I wanted to get this out, have some fun with it. We're going to go over ranks, my ranks, computer ranks, other people's ranks, ADPs on different sites, and see what the values are. Yes, George. It's a new podcast. I could probably just like advertise myself as a new podcast and nobody would know the difference. Like I could just redo my next episode for this season for the beginning of the year, new season. Just label it episode 1 and everyone would think it's a new podcast, new show. No, because this is actually on time for draft weekend, George. If it was BTFG, you wouldn't see this till like 2 weeks from now. But it's Fusion Fantasy Football. I don't do a ton, but I do get it out here. So we're gonna talk about our ranks. So let's talk about ranks. So I have been learning. What's the hashtag learn to code? Been doing some fun stuff. That's why I haven't been putting out content. And I had some fun making some like just completely really simple, basic like formula computer projections. Like this is basic stuff, taking like point per game average of past years, weighted average, and put it together, and it popped out a bunch of numbers. And then I looked at it and said, okay, it's not smart enough. I didn't program enough, conditions and contingencies to tell it whether someone's getting old or whether someone changed team or whether someone like Calvin Ridley isn't even playing, or whether, it's a rookie who we expect, or second year player that we expect much more from than you saw last year, right? So I'm still working on it, but in the meantime, it is surprisingly accurate. I mean, points per game just year to year is already accurate. So this increased the R squared even more, all the way up to 0.6, which doesn't sound great, but like it's actually not bad when it comes to these things. So I looked at it and was like, okay, that's all right. And by the way, that's going like all the way back years and years when I say that, because it was that was the advantage of doing it a purely formula computer based. I could have it literally like run the projections going all the way back to 2009 or something, and then have it actually check against the next years to see, okay, here was the projection based on what it knew up to that point, and here's what actually happened the next year. And I was able to compare it, and it came out not bad, So I think it's a great starting point. It just spits out the raw basics. And then I went through the list and I said, okay, look, Devonta Adams is getting older, changed teams. I know he played with Carr before, but still, like, he's not going to do like wide receiver 1 points per game necessarily. But I dropped him down a little bit, was still wide receiver 2. So I'm going to show you this view. It's a little bit nicer for you, I think. Yeah, hopefully. It gets you a view of all of the different position groups. I don't have quarterbacks in here. Are you kidding me? I'm not projecting quarterbacks. Come on. We'll get to quarterback ranks, actual draft ranks later. These are just projections. I didn't do my singularity projection package where I would have every single stat for every single team and then even add up the league and everything. So I didn't do that. By the way, if you're jumping in, if you're backstage, look, if you're out there and you want to join in, go follow my Twitter at FusionFFB and hop in. Like literally just hop in. It's on the tweet, the main tweet. I'll redraft it again here in a minute. So like if you want to hop in and ask a question live, you can come on the stream. If not, you can just ask it in the comments. Ask a question at any time, that's fine. Just put it out there. Also, keep in mind, I'm running this show and producing and everything all by myself. So if I get distracted, like reading something or making a banner or clicking on something, just bear with me. All right, so yeah, you're looking at the hybrid, the man-machine rankings. I went through. You can tell, like, I dropped Devonta Adams here to 20 instead of, I think it was like 23 or something points per game. So these are the point per game projections. I didn't go full on stats. I didn't do any of that stuff. I just went points per game. And honestly, they're not bad. Like I said, it's pretty reasonable. I mean, Tyreek Hill, that's one, again, change in team and quarterback. I probably could have manually dropped him. I tried to limit the changes. That's probably one I could have changed legitimately because there was a team change. But for a lot of them, I just kind of just hands off. I'm only going to fix, the issues like team changes and things like that. So there we go. Not a ton of surprises. Obviously, it likes Keenan Allen. I know Byron pointed that out earlier. A couple other things. So, yeah, these are all redraft. This is not Dynasty. This is redraft weekend. I know we got somebody. Like I said, if you pop in, go ahead and use the private chat. Tell me, if I don't maybe recognize your name, and that's fine. If we're not familiar, that's cool. I usually can see like a thumbnail. So, Gator J, I see you down there. It sounds familiar, so I apologize if I should know you. But by that name, maybe I don't. So I can bring it in. If it's just audio, that's fine. Just say it in the chat. Hey, I don't have video. I just have audio. And then, like I said, you can always use the YouTube comments on the live chat, and I can put that up on screen, and then people can actually see that, and I can interact with it. So here we go. Hey, I see a friend down there, Gator J. Again, let me know in the private chat. I know you found it, so let me know what's up. All right, cool. Let me know what's up. I'm gonna bring in, surprise, it's our friend Josh. What's going on? Was that too soon? Okay, bye, Josh. He's got to get it figured out, I guess. I don't know. I'm trying to get a banner. I'm going to change the banner here because I want it to say something about asking questions in the YouTube chat. And we'll get it. We'll get it back up here. All right. Maybe Josh is ready now. If he can just hang out even if he's not. I couldn't hear him. Should I be able to hear you? I can't. So you can just yell whenever. But is something off with my audio? Nope. My audio is working fine. All right, moving on. So rankings. Yeah, that's what we're doing. It does have Christian McCaffrey way up there. Jonathan Taylor, even though he had a big breakout with, last year hey, we have sound, Josh. Maybe we should mute you. I don't think it really appreciates how much he could do, because that really is, that last year's points per game you see there really is very high, as is Derrick Henry's. Christian McCaffrey has been up in those 20s in his big years as well. But even in the limited games he had last year, he was pretty good. So Austin Eckler, look, I had a whole series of tweets and other things I did where I talked about guys who were undervalued, overvalued, where they were overreactions, right? And one of those things was, I'm getting distracted. One of those things was Austin Eckler and his touchdowns. So I don't think his 21 points per game is keeping up. So again, these are the man machine. These are the man machine's projections. All right. So understand with a grain of salt. Now, the fun thing about these is also they do have the rookies, but it just is purely based off like rookie averages, um, based on draft order, like the order they were NFL draft order. So, like Brees Hall is here with a 12 PPG, and we hope he is better than that. But at the same time, it's running back 22, and it's like, okay, that's not terrible. That's actually that range in the late teens, early 20s is pretty common, even for good running backs. I wasn't Jonathan Taylor like running back 15 or something like that, and that was due to a strong finish. Gator J, I see you down there, so just let me know when you're ready to hop in. I see you now. Yeah, so there was a question in the comments. Sean, I did see you, and I got distracted. Is Colt Kmet here? Yeah, he is. He's way down here. 33. It doesn't really like him. He only had 7 points per game last year. Now, that's because no touchdowns, so that works against him again. But I'm not as high on Kmet as some. I do, and we will get to my actual human draft ranks in a little while. Again, these are the man machine like projections that were kind of a good baseline, foundation. So yeah, it's pretty far down there. He probably deserves to be up higher. 7 honestly is not terrible. He probably can be in the 8 and 9 range, which is going to be still outside the top 12, at least in points per game. The problem with tight end is they're just as apt to get likely to get injured as like running backs, which we don't really, I think we forget that. But so a lot of times running backs, tight ends, like even last year, Logan Thomas had a great points per game above 9, but he didn't play the whole season. So, all right. Again, Gator, let me know when you're ready to hop in. I'm ready to bring some people in and destroy these projections. I'm getting Josh in here. We heard him earlier. How you doing?
I'm all right. I'm all right. What did my audio cut out? Is that what happened?
It's a little quiet for me right now, but we're good. I hear you.
Okay.
Um,
You're
so
you're
we were
looking
looking.
for destruction. You want me to tear these
Bring it
places?
on. Let's go.
What position are you looking at?
I was just talking about because the guy was like, "Where in the world is Komet?" And I was like, "Well, he's." I had to scroll down. He's way down here at 10 and 33. It just doesn't. It just
Oh,
doesn't. It
the
just doesn't like
scrolling
him.
is pretty insulting, right? That's you did that just to hurt his feelings. I know you did.
Yeah, no,
Yeah,
like I said, it's
Fairmouth.
just because of the touchdowns. I do think he'll be better up in the upper 8s and 9s, probably right in this kind of range. I would think he's going to be somewhere in that kind of range right there. Um, but there's a lot of good tight ends in that range that could easily outperform him as well, like Logan Thomas, Higbee, Evan Ingram, Fryermuth. Like all these guys could outperform Komet just because he's getting an 18-20% target share from Justin Fields doesn't necessarily mean much. Um, yeah. So what are your thoughts?
You're too low on Fairmouth. That
Oh,
that's
okay.
that's
Yeah, we've
obvious right off the bat. Okay, we can't let that go by. Yeah, I mean that's his rookie season, 9 points per game, rookie season. You get like that. He's got a bump coming. I'm
he
not
got the
saying he's
touchdowns. He took all of Komet's touchdowns.
what. That's because they use him in the red zone, right? They get
Uh,
down there and they're like, "Where's
but they
Pat?"
actually got to the red zone, unlike the Bears. Um, yeah,
They
I know.
got to
I
the
know
red
you're
zone
on me
with
about
Mason
Fireman.
Rudolph. With
He's right
Mason
there at tight
Rudolph,
end 14 though, with Fant and Logan. Like these other guys who have finished in that range before, they're still getting the work. This isn't dynasty. These are redraft, Josh.
I Pat. You know how many of those guys ahead of Pat had a better tight end? I'm sorry, a better rookie season than him. Probably two.
Ahead of him,
Yeah,
Yeah, a couple, and there's a couple behind him that did as well.
What,
So
like Evan Ingram? That's
yeah,
it. Jordan Reed, Evan Ingram, Travis Kelce. Like,
uh, and Joku when he
no, and Njoku
actually.
was not better than Pat year one. Not year
I thought
one.
we looked this up. We had this debate. I'm gonna bring in a guy who's been hanging out and getting stuff set up. Gator, Jay, we're gonna bring him in here. How you doing, man?
Good,
What's your
brother.
name?
Good. Can you hear me now?
I hear you,
All right, good. Jason,
Jason. All right. Did you have a question or a critique or a
yes.
particular player taking issue with?
I want to slap you for these running back rankings. What in the world?
What's wrong with them?
I told you these are the man machine ones. It's very average based.
The hot dog salesman, beer salesman at running back 18 above Javante Williams. I mean, what are we doing?
So yeah, it does look. The computer doesn't care about preseason games. It doesn't know. It doesn't know any of this. It's very dumb. It doesn't watch. It doesn't watch the game. It only looks at the box scores.
Don't. It's not very dumb. Don't.
No, it's not. It's not dumb.
These
Look,
are the best kind of
Javante.
rankings. These
Yeah,
are the
but
best kind of rankings because it's like it's all the logical brain, and then you have to have a real reason to separate from it.
So I just did my rankings over on Fantasy Pros today, updated them today for redraft, and I'm kind of, I guess, kind of got my feelings hurt that I put Jonathan Taylor at 2 behind Christian McCaffrey, of course, but I've got it McCaffrey, Taylor, Eckler, and Eckler's way down at 5.
Yeah, I mentioned why before on him. It's because of the touchdown regression
Okay.
and look, we're gonna have injuries maybe because look, two of those guys above him, I have him fifth, right? Well, you take out the two ahead of him in CMC and Henry last year, and he's back up to third again. So I mean, and injuries happen, and we have to remember that with our rankings. Sometimes they look worse than what we're expecting. That's because a good like tenth of them are gone. They just poof because of injuries. Back to Javante, I do think Javante should be higher than this. Again, it doesn't the formula isn't really. I didn't make it smart enough to account for second year like leaps. So I don't necessarily think it's wrong about Gibson. I just think it's probably too low on Javante, if that's fair.
Yeah, I
It
believe
should
that.
be up like where Mitchell is, and then yeah, that's pretty much right around there.
I'd put him below Mitchell though. I mean,
He hasn't gotten hurt as much as Mitchell seems to, so for that alone, I might put him right in there between Swift and Mitchell. But like I said, these are my projections. These are the foundation. Then I actually did like draft ranks that we're gonna get to in a little bit. So
what's the difference between this and a draft rank?
So a draft rank incorporates like ADP value versus what their like range of outcome is. So it would look at it and say, look, I get it. Javante Williams on average probably is only going to give me 14 points per game, but he has a ceiling that if I can get him at this point in his positional rank to return far above and better and actually be a value. And if he doesn't, I'm just getting a little bit stepped down to what I have here on this list.
I don't think I'd move him up above. I mean, I think
have
you
to
could
check
go.
it out. Do we want to go look at it?
It's your
I
show,
will.
boss.
I'll bring it over, and then we can bounce back and forth or anything, whatever. I'll bring it over here. Look at it here. This is kind of the
Jumps up
all-in-one view.
4 spots there.
So yeah, what did I say? 13, 14. Here he is.
What? Wow. If your thought process is like 75th percentile outcome, Elijah Mitchell should not fall. You could put Javante over Elijah, fine, whatever. That's splitting hairs, but he shouldn't be down there.
And look, I don't really have these in tiers. I do have like tiers in my head. But there's this format here doesn't really show or anything. I would have a lot of these guys in a big tier. And like Brees Hall and Cam Akers and Elijah Mitchell are like the high, very high upside, but you can get them fairly cheap. All things
Oh, okay.
considered.
So this is okay. So if you're telling me this is like ADP optimization,
Yeah,
why pay more than RB21 for Elijah Mitchell if you don't have to? Then okay.
yeah. These are actual redraft. I'm sitting in the draft, and I want to look at, I'm at ESPN, and I'd like to later tonight even pull up some of those sites ADPs and actually trying to find some of these values. But yeah, if I'm drafting on a sleeper or something, and I'm looking at it and I'm going, wait a second, this has Elijah Mitchell at like running back 25 or something. Why do I need to take him at 16? Even if I think he probably belongs there, I can wait until around early 20s and grab him there.
You got Najee Harris at 9, and I have heard so much hate from you on Najee Harris. So much hate.
How is he going to do better? He literally had the best season he's
I'm
probably
surprised
ever
he's at
going
9.
to have in his entire career.
I'm not saying he should be at 8.76. I'm surprised you have him at 9.
Oh yeah, no, he belongs ahead of Midson, Joe Midson. He is the average of average running back ones. Like he's a running back one, but he's like just the average Joe. He's literally Joe. His name is Joe. He's Joe.
He's like, in my mind, he's exactly the same as David Montgomery. And at any point in time, his volume could just hit, and he could have 5 RB1 weeks in a row. And
he's
so it's like
far better offense.
Yeah, however optimistic you want to be about Joe Burrow, I feel like you have to loan that to Joe Mixon.
And I guess in the redraft side of it, I mean, I look at Najee being at 9, and I'm like, okay, that's fair. But then you think about like a Joe Mixon, even a Zeke, injury there, or Javonte. What Najee Harris has excuse my French on this, but a shit offensive line. No quarterback as of right now. Yeah, he's going to get probably, 10 targets a game, but how many yards is he going to get on top of that?
Who, Harris?
Yeah.
He's not getting as many targets as he did last year.
Okay, so then Mixon should be above him in a redraft in my mind.
I don't hate that. I don't even hate that. The Harris is there because I am confident of at least the volume. So I wouldn't hate moving Mixon up over Harris at all. I'm not arguing. That's definitely a tier there. And one I have there that I could even argue. I kind of like, you can see I have the kind of the upside safe guys there. Harris and Mixon, and then you kind of have the old group of guys, the Fournette, Jones, and Zeke.
I think Aaron Jones might be a little bit low, just for the volume.
Especially if it's a full PPR, which I usually kind of just go with that. But
I go back and forth on Aaron Jones, just depending on the weather, man.
I'm not as optimistic as some. Yeah,
and I agree with that because I look at it too as you've got 2 dynamic backs back there with Jones and Dillon, and I've asked the question multiple times. And get like a 50-50 answer on it. I think Jones is going to get a lot of the PPR side of it with the receptions, but I think Dillon's going to be used a lot as a running back. So I think you may see a lot of times when they're both on the field for no other reason than Aaron Rodgers trusts both of them.
Yeah, and it's not even that. It's just I don't know if that offense is going to just be as good as everyone hopes it's going to be at all, let alone.
That's my worry. Is what if that offense just takes a step backwards without Devontae Adams, without anybody at wide receiver? Honestly, you don't even have a good tight end.
I got J.K. Dobbins on here, and that's out of date. I probably should move him down here with some recent news from some injury guys like Dr. Edwin Porras and so on. I've been listening to that. He's just not like practicing and participating in ways that he should. I don't care what he tweets at Rappaport, he's
Get my name
unless
mouth.
I mean, unless they're like playing a game and like hiding it, he should be more involved than he is.
No, there was actual video. I want to say it was late last week or early this week, where he was walking from the locker room out to the field and visibly limping. So
Yeah. So like I said, this is out of date. I did this beginning of the week, and then it was like Tuesday, Wednesday. I was reading and listening to some things, so I should move him down, probably even down to 32 here, Damian Harris
But
area.
but I mean, if your thought is like 75th percentile outcome, I mean,
But I also don't like drafting players that are injured already going into the
no,
beginning
I
of
don't
it.
either. But
I mean,
are you trusting what you saw
he's
from?
got the dog in him. I mean,
his upside was always limited too. His particular on that team upside was already always limited to begin with, because unlike that's why I have Cam Akers like here, because he can capture that workload in the receiving and the running, but Dobbins, that's just not how they use their running backs. He's not getting those targets that
Yeah.
we want.
like they really only need the Gus bus. I see what you're saying.
Like he and Penny are very similar. They're all like mini like versions of Chubb, right? Like where they're great runners on per runs per an attempt, yards created, all these things on the ground runners. The stats are there year after year to prove it when they were healthy. But and even to some extent Josh Jacobs, and it was only until he got more involved in the passing game that we saw him finally be what we kind of hoped last year, but that's probably going to be taken away from him again. So again, that's why those guys are down there. Penny up limited in the receiving. Clyde, the hate's probably gone a little bit too far. So I think he's right about where he belongs there. And Josh, when we talked earlier, and you brought up Jason, you brought up AJ Dillon. He's to me like the first non-primary back guy I'm willing to draft. And I know you're gonna say Gibson is, but whatever. AJ Dillon, like he's the first backup. He's right where I would have had Kareem Hunt in past years, and Hunt's right there behind him. But I think that he's that guy who has standalone value, but also has the upside, and so that's why he's like the first guy I would take. That's not a primary running back. So we haven't picked apart running backs. Any thoughts anymore?
Josh Jacobs. Josh Jacobs is a tough one because I go back and forth between thinking that he's like that guy who's blessed with guaranteed volume, just being in the role he has been, and then thinking that it's all slipping away.
For Dynasty, for sure. I mean, Josh, that's why I was pushing so hard for us to trade him away in that one league.
I don't think Josh Jacobs has any real upside. I mean, he has RB22 upside. That's where you got him ranked. He can sure do that. But
I think he's going to get points, but I don't even think Josh Jacobs has in him that thought that we're going to like just run him into the ground with this last contract year. He doesn't even have that in mind. He's purely based on like what's going to win. He's not even thinking about that. So if he's not effective, he's not going to use him. If he's effective, he'll use him, but not in the ways that he's not effective. So if Amir Abdullah or Bolden, or I mean Drake's, is he officially gone? Yeah, gone. I couldn't hear if it was actually official. I know they were talking about it, but anyway, those other guys, Amir White, if they are good in any way, better than Jacobs at something, Josh Jacobs is going to use them for that something.
I think I agree. I don't think there's that much workload out there for Josh Jacobs to capture, even in a best case scenario.
So he's purely a safe like running back too. You got a nice early guy here with high upside, and you waited a few extra rounds taking the wide receivers or stuff, and you just need a solid guy to throw in there who you know is going to be playing and getting work. Yeah, he's the Joe Mixon of this second of the RB2s. Anyone hating anything on my wide receivers? I don't have Keenan Allen at 6 anymore. So you can see that's one difference from the machine.
Keenan Allen.
It's solid though.
Yeah, I mean, okay, that's about right.
There's just a lot of upside guys who actually still have upside that I need to put ahead of him.
I will tell you that I have not drafted like any Michael Pittman, almost none. I think he's headed back down after last season. What?
This isn't even high on him right now, though.
Yeah, I'm higher in my rankings.
He's moving up, Josh. He's like up here with Sutton and Metcalf.
Yeah, I think you're right. And also, Cortland Sutton doesn't deserve to be there.
He's a hard one, man.
He's listen. I appreciate your love for Russell Wilson. Okay, I share an affinity for Russell Wilson. Cortland Sutton has to earn it, and he ain't done it.
I've got Sutton sitting at 18 right now, and I think that's probably pretty fair. Sitting there in that grouping of like a Keenan Allen, a Marquise Brown, Terry McLaurin, Deontay Johnson, and I'm probably a little bit lower on Deontay Johnson than most, but I just don't see him being able to get up there either.
Well, I'll come back to remind me.
Deontay Johnson. CeeDee Lamb at 7. What the?
Hold on, Josh. We're one thing at a time. So Sutton, the only thing I doubt more than Sutton is Jerry Jeudy. Okay, yeah. So that's part of it. So you say I like Russ Wilson. I kind of like Russ Wilson. I'm a little afraid of, you know what's stuck in my head, if you've ever seen it, is the meme of Russell Wilson, and he's got like a skillet, and it's some like abomination of a sauce. I don't know what. It's just like college food or something he's cooking, right? And it's like, what if Russ just can't cook? What if Russ is a bad cook? I've always got that stuck in my head. I was like, maybe Pete Carroll had the right idea. Like, he's really good within this box. And then we release him from the box in the 4th round every now and then. But, like, if you have a whole game of that, maybe it's not that good.
What if there's a universe where Ryan Tannehill and Russell Wilson are not entirely?
No, Ryan Wilson. That's right.
I don't like that thought. It makes me very uncomfortable.
Russell Tannehill.
But I mean, I definitely subscribe to the idea that like if Russell Wilson was really, really, really good, that volume would have found him by now, and so. The low volume career. I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe Russ can't cook.
I think he'll have more volume than he had, but I think we're going a little over the top. It's not like they don't like to run the ball with Javonte and Gordon in Denver.
I mean it's
I just think that Sutton is like, and I should probably have him behind Metcalf is the thing. I probably should just swap those. And with news of Godwin, I probably should just move him above those 3 too. So like I can make some little tweaks there probably. But
let me tell you where you have room to move those guys up. It's number 7. Lamb. Number 7, CeeDee Lamb.
Look.
Number 7, Amari Cooper.
He fits the bill. I know you listen to Peter Howard. He fits all the breakout. Look, it's his 3rd year. We've gotten to the point.
What the hell does
not everyone's Jamar Chase and Justin Jefferson. You know, some guys are Deebo Samuel, and it takes that 3rd year, right?
Deebo was hurt. I mean,
and I would say CeeDee Lamb suffered from a case of Amari-itis. So like he and it's just him. It's just him and whoever the other guy is going to be, Michael Gallup maybe, right?
Tell
It's
me the
he.
truth. Was CeeDee Lamb at 7? How much was Machine and how much was you? Where did the Machine put him?
Okay, well that's a good question. Let's check it out here. Um, ooh, I thought I switched over. Machine had him at 15.
That's okay. So that's how much is Josh? 8 spots.
I'm good with that. I mean, I'm okay putting Debo ahead of him and Hill ahead of him, but I think I'd still am gonna keep him ahead of Higgins. Like he's the Najee Harris of wide receivers.
Who is CeeDee Lamb?
Yeah, but he actually can improve in the efficiency. Like, so that's probably not even a good comparison. But I mean, as far as just a steady, like I know he's gonna get work kind of thing in this tier, I know he's gonna get work.
I guess my biggest complaint in the it's not even big. It's Mike Evans. I mean, and I asked this tweet. I sent out a tweet yesterday or this morning. How is Mike Evans falling in redraft when all he has done since he walked in the league every year is produce?
I don't know. There was some crazy tweets going around even today.
Yeah, I mean he gets a hamstring every every he gets that every August. He comes back and throws 1,000-yard season, no matter who the quarterback is. Whether it's Jameis Winston, Tom Brady, Kyle Trask, he's getting 1,000 yards.
Yep.
Eight touchdowns, 6, 7, 8 touchdowns, something like that. And he's always a top 7, top 8. And we're going to keep fading him and keep pushing him. He's going to be a wide receiver 3 next year and still produce as a wide receiver 1.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm gonna bring it up. I said when I was advertising this, we're gonna go ahead and roast people's takes, and we're gonna do it. I don't care. I don't care anymore. So here we go. We got
here we go.
This was Adam Koffler, who I appreciate his willingness to continue to put his takes out there. And my issue was, he said, his whole premise here is if the Bucks throw 38 times instead of a league leading 43. Okay, so just keep that in mind. He's putting out 38 pass attempts per game. Doesn't really say how or where he's getting it. And then it has 6.5 targets per game. And then says that he's going to have a touchdown at every 8.5 targets, as if like that's crazy high, or it's a low number, but it's a high rate. So I'm like, and I should have researched a little bit more, because I knew that technically he does have lower target shares because he's a high yards producer. So I was like, but at the same time, we're thinking Godwin's a little beat up to start. No Gronk, no Antonio Brown. I know they got Julio and Gage, but these still are not the same caliber. They literally, the last 2 years, had 3 wide receiver 1s. Okay, I'm not a big like vacated targets kind of person at all, but when you have 3 legit wide receiver 1s, it's gonna affect your target share. So his response was, well, he was at 18 in 2020 and 16.4 in 2021. I'm not sure how much that's prorated per game, and I know he missed times here and there, and that hurts him in some of those numbers sometimes. And my response was, I said, okay, look, if we're going to do this whole averaging the last 2 years thing, let's actually average the last 2 years, which, first of all, makes no sense that he's saying they're going to have 38 passes per a game, because their average has been 43 and 39. So why are we going less than that? So even with the 663, which is the 39 passes per game, that's 119 targets, right? And with his 65% catch rate he's had the last 2 years average, 77 receptions, with his 9 to 9.2 touchdowns per target, it's 13 touchdowns. That's with his 1.5 something yards per team pass attempt. That's 1,000 yards right on the money. That's 255 points per game. I mean, points per reception. on the season for a full season, which we know, yeah, may not happen. So that's where I'm talking about. You get 255 points per game. That gets you, and this is where I'm going to pull up this. I didn't really talk about this much. This whole positional ranking average, this is a 4-year running average of that. Like wide receiver 1 typically scores this. So I would have to do the math on the 255 over 17 games. That's 15 points per game. So that's saying that Mike Evans, yeah, this is the machine. It thought he should be wide receiver 12. He was at 15.7. Thinks he's going to be 16. So anywhere in this range is where he should be. Let's look on my ranks. I have him 11. So I guess I'm high on him.
Okay. Well, and I agree with you 100%. And that just means that I'm even higher on him.
I noted that in the tweet, which was he's been as high as 24%, even in 2019 when Godwin was breaking out with his own 22% target share. So with the missing competition, I'm not saying missing vacated targets. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying when Brady's just going to have Mike Evans more often than not, I think that target share can actually go up. And so that's the upside that puts him at 11 for me. Plus he's just solid. And I'm at that range. I want good production. I haven't got a top guy. And in recent years at wide receiver, the problem has been finding those top guys. It's been very volatile at wide receiver the last 3 years. If we look back, very volatile. They are usually not returning on what you're paying. I mean, think back. Cooper Kupp and Jamar Chase were 6th round draft picks last year. Now they're 1 and 3 on mine.
And I guess that's where my thing is with Evans is he's just been so consistent.
Right.
In the 6-7 years that he's been in the league. But as you were saying that, I was looking at the stats, and with Chris Godwin, targets last year 127, 1,100 yards, 5 TDs, whereas Mike Evans was 114, just over 1,000 at 1,035 and 14 touchdowns. So yeah, I mean, he just took, whatever it was, 10, almost 15 less receptions. Or less.
I think Godwin was paced for more. He missed some games, though, right?
Godwin played 14. And so he missed a couple games last year too. So yeah, but 74 receptions and 114 targets for Evans last year, 98 and 127 for Godwin. So yeah.
Yep. All right. Did we beat Mike Evans to death enough?
I'm talking about CeeDee Lamb.
Oh, we're back to CeeDee. What do you think about CeeDee Lamb? Are you a CeeDee Lamb guy? Or you got
I've got him ranked pretty high. At the same time, I'm with Josh on it. That there's so many questions with him that it's only going to take a week or two for him to plummet. For me, I was real shaky on just moving him out of the top 10 to start with. But having him as the only true wide receiver there, and I know that offense is going to throw, and they're going to run they're going to be a high paced offense. They're going to throw the ball a lot. CeeDee Lamb's going to get a ton of targets as long as he stays healthy. It's going to be between CeeDee Lamb's wide receiver 1, Dalton Schultz is wide receiver 2 / tight end, whatever. But that's his 2 main targets, and then of course you throw in the backs, but. His 2 main targets are going to be CeeDee Lamb. So I'm hoping that CeeDee is going to catch the ball. He's probably going to see 130, 140 targets this year.
I could see CeeDee becoming the new Keenan Allen too. If he doesn't reach the potential that everyone has hope for, I could see him probably still just slipping into that consistent lower wide receiver 1. And so maybe this is too high. I still just think it's okay for wide receivers to not explode in their first and second year. It's okay. We've seen it many times with good wide receivers. He's on that trajectory. His production last year was actually pretty good for a second-year wide receiver. It was it was the contrast to the expectations that are causing those doubts, not the actual production. When you really look at it and put it in its proper context, he was good. I am not and have not been a huge CD Lamb guy, but like he was going way too high last year. But maybe not 7, but he belongs in top 10.
I'm not going to disagree with you on that, because I was super high on him coming out of Oklahoma as well, and I was excited that he got to Dallas. Even though I'm a Bucks fan, I was excited that he went to Dallas. But I pulled up his stats, and holy crap, I didn't realize he had 1,100 yards last year. That's quiet. I think it was because he only had 6 touchdowns, though.
Yeah,
I mean, he's had a 13 and forgive me, I'm not looking at it, but a 13 and a 14 point per game season. That's all he's done. That's all he's done. Every one of those guys ahead of him has done better.
He's averaging 13 right now.
And some of the guys behind him have done better. And showing that ceiling early means something to me in terms of potential. I think he's Amari Cooper.
He might be Amari Cooper again. Yeah, somewhere between Amari Cooper and Keenan Allen, but there still can be wide receiver ones. I have him showing as 15 last year. So I don't know, whatever that's worth. Maybe it's wrong. Any hate for my tight end, high-end tight end projections here? I thought the Hawkinson versus Pitts one would get some people riled up. Again, this is the computer projection.
I think Pitts is low. And I'm not even a Pitts guy.
I know you're not. This isn't the draft rank. But I did find that interesting, and I've noted that before on Twitter that Hawkinson's points per game were actually better than I think a lot of people give him credit for. And we think, again, like CeeDee Lamb, that because he didn't smash in the first couple of years, that he can't make that leap in year 3 or 4, and that's perfectly normal for tight ends to do. So I'm still happy with him as a tight end 6. We'll move over here to the actual redraft ranks.
So you're just not drafting Kyle Pitts, is what that means. Well, then you got him at 3. Okay. Yeah. Well, that's a different story.
This is the actual draft, and honestly, it's pretty tight between Pitts and Kittle for me. Except Pitts always goes way earlier, so I ended up with Kittle or Hawkinson.
That's the thing. Is for me, like, what does it take if you tell yourself a story for Kyle Pitts to work out? And in my mind, it takes George Kittle getting hurt, probably even Darren Waller not being healthy. Like, for him to pay off with his 2nd to 3rd round ADP, those guys behind him that can produce the same outcomes can't be playing. Because if they are, he's not returning value on his ADP.
Yeah, I think there's plenty of what you can grab in that 10, 11, 12 to 15, even what's on here at 16, Dawson Knox. I think some of that can grab a couple of those guys and then bolster that wide receiver room against what Josh is saying there. Helps you be able to justify not taking hits at that, early to mid 2nd round in a redraft. I think your rankings here almost. I think you looked at my rankings this morning. To be honest, no. I see what you did. You took my exact rankings, but you swapped Kittle and Waller, and then.
I mean, you're gonna see these tight end ranks a lot.
Yeah, I mean, these are almost identical for mine. So
I think a lot of people have got her over Hawkinson is the thing. And that's where I'm finding Hawkinson at almost a value. When I can get him tight end 7 and he's falling a full round below what ADP says he's supposed to be, I'm like, okay, now I'll take him there. I'm a late tight end or like Travis Kelce guy. Like I want Travis Kelce at the beginning of the second round, or I'm waiting and going with like Hunter Henry and Evan Ingram and Fant and Higbee and Everett and Logan Thomas. Like I'm not an early or mid tight end guy. But Hawkinson is one where I'm like, if I'm in that situation where like I don't want to have to worry about it, especially like a home league or something like that. We got draft weekend coming up, and you just want to have a guy you can put in there and get some points. I think Hawkinson does that for you, and he has upside still too. And you're not overpaying. That's the biggest thing.
And stat-wise, I think he's got one of the most accurate, or I'm sorry, not accurate, but the highest completion percentage quarterback.
Yeah, it's a very good quarterback for what he does. Dump off short. Yeah, Goff is Goff. I mean, he's not great, obviously, but he does the job pretty well, especially when it comes to feeding guys, hopefully like Hawkinson, Amon-Ra, and Swift. And I think he can do that this year. I think the Lions are going to surprise some people.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Do we hate anything about? I know quarterback ranks are kind of like, I don't know. It's so hard to find even statistical things to really base anything on. It's like all narrative pretty much when it comes to quarterbacks. These ranks are probably pretty vanilla.
Where did the machine have?
Unless we're in super flex, then the machine doesn't look at the machine doesn't even look at quarterbacks. I literally in the formula I can show you in the code where it checks to see if the player season is a quarterback, and it spits out no quarterbacks exclamation mark.
Okay.
and goes to the next row.
I was curious as to where Joe Burrow would be if this was like if you get no cool points.
His points per game, like if we were just looking at points per game, it's like, are we looking at points per game weeks like 1 through 10, or are we looking at points per game like weeks 12 through 17?
Because he went off at the end of the season. I mean,
it wasn't even 12. It was like 14 through the playoffs.
I mean, you know as well as I do, like splits are crap. It's whole season.
But at the same time, he had his main weapon was a rookie. So like, what effect does it have on a quarterback when
he gets his legs
best target is a rookie and it is still coming into his own? And now they're going into this season with T. Higgins and Chase ready to go with that experience under the belt. Like, I don't think it's going to be the height of what we saw at the end of the season in the playoffs, but I do not think it's going to be what we saw at the beginning of the season either. It's got to be somewhere in between.
If you believe that story, which is fine if you do, I think you should also probably be drafting Jamar Chase number 1. Not overall, but among wide receivers. Because if he impacts
T. Higgins too.
But if Jamar Chase getting his legs impacts an offense to that extent, then I think he deserves to be the first wide receiver off the board. And if you don't believe that, I don't believe that, then I don't think you draft Joe Burrow at 8.
I mean, we're taking Josh Allen 1, and Diggs is only 5. So do I have to move Diggs to 1?
No, because we're not saying that Stephon Diggs became good halfway through the season.
If anything, Chase got worse in some ways. He had some big games early in the season.
I don't think Chase got worse. I think
right.
that
I mean, fantasy.
You had Boyd step up finally. So there was more target competition and Burrow was able to, move the ball around. And
yeah.
It opened the field up.
I think it's just a whole offense thing, right? It's not just Chase, which is why I'm not going to move Chase up. It's the entire offense.
I mean, if you want criticism, I would move Tom Brady to 5. I would send Joe Burrow to the pit of misery, and I'd probably, not really, but like he maybe like 11, and
Burrow
I'd
was
move
also
some
coming
guys
off
up.
injury.
Let's say that again. I'm sorry.
Burrow was also coming off his ACL.
Yeah, that's
We would
true
tend to
and
forget
fair.
that. So there was a lot of things at the beginning of the season that it happened exactly as we could have expected, that it was going to be a slow start to the season.
I'd rather have Tom Brady than Joe Burrow. Not in Dynasty, of course, but
In a redraft.
Oh,
Yeah.
hold on, guys. Hold on. 1 second here, because if you notice, the actual number next to him was 8. Whoops. So there you go. Joe Burrow and Brady are actually next to each other.
yeah, I'd probably Jalen Hurts. I mean, maybe I feel like I've got a little bit of a blind spot for Jalen Hurts. So maybe I wouldn't like attack you there, but
He and Dak are very similar in my mind.
yeah.
Well,
Dak slings the volume though, and I mean maybe that was a function of having Amari and CeeDee Lamb, and maybe he slings less volume, but like Jalen doesn't sling the volume, right?
No,
He
doesn't-
was first half. He was.
He gets it on the ground though too, just like Lamar.
Yeah, I know that I kind of have a blind spot in that area.
I tell you the one that I'm a little bit surprised at, and I'm going to preface this. I am 100% joking. Now that we know Kyler Murray can call plays, we know he knows the playbook. I can't believe he's at 5 and not at 1. Did you see it?
He did get an upgrade in Marquise Brown, but I just
Did you see the him calling plays this past game in the preseason?
no.
Yeah.
Kingsbury got upset at himself and threw the headset and whatever and said, "Hey, Kyler, you call the plays," and they let him
Yeah,
up.
it was pretty staged, obviously. But
How did it go? I mean, please, I
16 plays, 74 yards and a touchdown.
fucking A.
Well, if he's so good, then who was the quarterback? Was it Colt or who was it?
Oh my God! Is Kyler Murray
Well,
auditioning
he
to
should
be
just
Aaron
be the
Rodgers?
offensive. Yeah, he should just be the offensive coordinator. Leave Colt out there. Good old Colt McCoy.
At least we know they got an offensive coordinator out there in the desert.
Look, I drafted a team back in like February when it was Kyler Murray had deleted his social media and stuff, and like my very last pick, and this is super flex. My very last pick was Colt McCoy. So hey, you never know. But it does speak to why, because I have Murray on one of my best dynasty teams. I've seen it up and close and personal. Yeah, like quarterback 1 the beginning of the season, but he is I don't know. He's one of these high-end sports cars where it gets a little dinged up and it's not performing well. It's not performing well as it used to be. When it's all tuned up, it purrs, it's beautiful. But just a little bit of dings and a few things, hard bumps, and it's clunking around. Meanwhile, you got the I don't know cars that I shouldn't use car analogies, but you've got some muscle car and it can take the beating, and that's guys like Lamar Jackson and even Prescott who keep on producing even when we're like, ooh, is he hurt? And he keeps on going. So to me, Kyler Murray, he's a little bit of a glass cannon. So that's why I have him at 5. I've seen Lamar Jackson be the best, so I am gonna have him ahead of Kyler, and I think
Deservedly.
No, I like I said, I that was 100% joking the whole time. So.
it's honestly we don't want to do it,
stands.
but it's Mahomes or Herbert who could end up being behind Lamar and Murray.
Yeah,
but like
there is one that sneaky, Matt Ryan. I think you have him too low. He's behind his best offensive line. Hasn't had the weapons that other than the other than Kyle Pitts. He's got more weapons in Indy. He's got a running game in Indy. Best offensive line too. Okay, he's got a noodle for an arm. Doesn't have to get the ball down the field very far. And he's got the receivers to do it. I think
Yeah,
a little bit low.
your Pittman is showing.
No, yeah, I was thinking more JT. I think there's going to be some.
Look, if he is smart enough to get Jonathan Taylor involved in the dump off game, then I'm with you. Like Naheem Hines,
Not coming out of the slot.
No. Yeah, go run around and get somebody's attention. Give me some, quick slants, dump offs to the side, screens, whatever you want to, just get it in short passes to Jonathan Taylor. And that is one reason why Jonathan Taylor, like I have him at 2, but I have no problem with him at 1 over Christian McCaffrey. And a lot of people have talked about how his points last year weren't as high as typical running back 1s. And I say, well, that's true, but just look at people talk about his lack of receiving as a negative, and I almost say, well, that's a positive because it still has room to grow. That's why I don't like Najee, because I'm like, he already got all those targets. He's not doing more. Taylor still has room to grow, and he did what he did.
And that should make you more worried about. What's his name over there in Washington now? Wentz. With Wentz being there for JT. I mean, he didn't dump the ball off to JT. I think
the thing about Carson Wentz for me will always be that one good season that he had. he's like the Juju Smith-Schuster of quarterbacks.
No, Juju at least had 2.
And yeah, I know, but I mean, you get so deep in that ADP, and I'm like, well, Carson did it. He did it once. He did it that one time.
Yeah, the thing about him is, so he doesn't. I think he's holding on to that one season too. Like he thinks he can do that, and chuck it down the field, and have Macklin and Aguilar and whoever catch it and have magical best seasons of their career as well. And you can't rely on that. And people are on to it. Yeah, Wentz doesn't dump off either. And so I agree back to the Ryan that I think Ryan is more conducive, more of a better quarterback to do that for Taylor. I agree. The reason I have Taylor Matt Ryan that far back is the upside. I could tell a story of higher upside for all those guys in front of him.
Oh, I'm not disagreeing with where you have him. I'm just saying he could be a surprise to jump probably 5 or 6 of those. A very solid quarterback too in Superflex. I have him on so many dynasty teams, which is really ugly, and I wish I almost didn't. But it's also like, well, I got him super cheap, and he landed actually in a better situation than I had feared. So okay, great, I'll get some points out of this. But I really like. I mean, Winston's weapons. He has the most improved versus last year. His receiving core is the most improved in the league. Basically all new. Michael Taylor, Landry, and Olave. Well, hey, I'm going to jump off for a few. I may come back up and hit you back up. So,
hey, no problem.
I shall holler at y'all later on. I appreciate it.
Yeah. Hey, wait, where are you? You say you had your ranks on Fantasy Pros. Are you with any site or anyone check you out? They have your Twitter there. So
yep, my Twitter's right there, FantasyJ77. I'm over with going for 2.
Okay.
We do the gamut on Wednesday nights. Oh, I'm sorry, on Thursday nights.
Awesome. All right. Cool, man. Thanks for joining us.
Appreciate it, guys.
So, yeah, Winston. I almost have him higher than this, but Like I could easily have him higher than a bunch of these guys. That whole range is just whatever you want, but
Yeah, if he was healthy, I'm not, his foot's hurt, right? He's got a problem. That's the deal with Jameis is how many games is he going to play?
Yeah, he's actually was just switched to fully healthy, I think, today.
Good.
Yeah, no, everything has been looking good. He's been on track. So I've been encouraged about that one. No, I think he's good to go for as far as that goes. He didn't have. He's not like. He hasn't had major injury problems every year. He had years at Tampa Bay just fine, you know.
Yeah.
So I don't have a huge concern about him from year to year here. I think once he's up and running, yeah, flukes happen, but I think he'll be good to go.
I'll tell you one thing in the QB rankings that I noticed is very different from redraft is Derek Carr's going ahead of Aaron Rodgers right now, and has been. It's a real thing.
Ahead of who?
Aaron Rodgers.
Going ahead of Rodgers. Yeah, I know he's been. It's more like Rodgers slipping though, is it? Or are people actually pushing the car up?
Probably mostly a fall for Rodgers, but I don't know that for sure. That's just my feeling about it.
Okay.
I was surprised.
Go ahead. I'm trying to pull up some like ADPs here on some of these other sites and stuff. I was going to ask you about something, and I can't think of what it was. Over with the tight ends, as far as like who are you aiming for, and who do you like as your like late tight end? I know. Okay, yeah, Fryermuth. I know. You think
well,
going like
I know,
there.
but that's not really late. Yeah, that's not really late. You know, Njoku goes so much later that I'm okay mixing him in. Okay. I have kind of stopped drafting Alberto because of Greg Dulcich. So I kind of just I view them as interchangeable. And then late, like I like drafting rookies late. I like Bellinger and I like Dulcich, and I will still draft Trey McBride. I haven't heard anything about McBride in camp. Maybe I should know something. But late, why not take a shot on a rookie?
Who are you? Like, did you get swapped? I mean, I'm having a hard time. You've been leaning this way in our chats and stuff, and I've been like silent in my head thinking like, what's going on? Because on one hand, you're like disparaging CeeDee Lamb, right? Making a leap according to what just his trajectory shows, and then you're also being wary of rookie running backs and stuff, and talking about averages and how you like the baseline of the machine, and then next thing I know, you're talking about rookie tight ends who are like the worst possible bet you can make.
No, they're not. No, they're not. They're not the worst bet because we're so bad at prospecting tight ends. We're so bad at it. Like if you're gonna take a very late bet on a tight end, like, and listen, I draft a fair amount of Higbee, Everett, Logan Thomas. You know, I draft those guys. I do. But they're usually my tight end 2, I would say. And then at 3, I like the rookies because they're just totally unknowns, and the good ones show early.
Yeah, I don't know.
I would rather draft, David Bellinger than Tyler Conklin. That's all it is.
I don't get I kind of do get the Bellinger thing, but I don't get the Dulcich thing. I don't get
why not Dulcich? Do you know something I don't know? You might.
Look, okay, so my thing with tight ends for a while has been I get it. I get going after like a rookie, even like Fryermuth kind of made sense for when it happened in the season. But like I don't want the tight end that's like the 5th best offensive target on the team. and it's pushing it a lot for me to say that Dulcich is not going to be behind Sutton and Judy and even Alberto, technically, even if they're the same, but he's going to be at least even with them, and behind, Gordon and Javante, and it just, he's the fifth option at best. Unless injuries and stuff happen, which happened with Freiermuth, and then I opened up touchdown opportunity. But I just don't want these guys that are way deep in the pecking order.
I understand. I understand what you're saying, and I'm not saying that it's not valid, but I just don't think about that. I really just don't. Like when I'm thinking about Dulcich, I just don't even think about Sutton, Judy. I just think like here's a rookie tight end who's shown, and maybe who knows? I don't know. Like that's all it is.
All right, we're gonna bring in. We got this guy down here. I don't know why we're gonna bring in him. He can tell us some stories here. All right, we got Neil over at Clock Dodgers. How's it going, man?
Oh yeah, here we go.
What's up, guys? It's about
got
time
the
for
mood
some
lighting
fantasy
on.
narrative.
We're ready to go.
We need some fantasy narrative up in this room.
I'm telling you, we need to get that podcast going. Plot lines.
Just way too
Go.
much stats and data.
No,
That is
plot
such-
lines.
that is
It's
such
a
a good
double
name
meaning.
for a
I love the double
podcast.
meanings. Yeah, come on.
Fantasy narrative. That's what we're up in here doing.
Plot lines. You tell the stories. I'll do the graphs. Let's go.
I might
All
work.
right.
I'm listening
I
to you guys
finally-
talk about tight ends over here. I've been in the guest thing forever, so
No, it's been like 2 minutes. It was right when we started coming back to tight ends and Freiermuth.
nah. Just letting everybody know that how you guys treat your guests. I've been over there for like an hour.
Neil will always find something to be dramatic about.
All right. Well, all right. Go ahead. You got the floor. You
No.
got so much to
No,
say.
no.
You're waiting down there chomping at the bit. You got so much to say. Let's go.
No.
Let's go.
I'm good. I'm listening. I'm going with the flow.
Oh, okay.
Let's
you got
talk
questions.
about-
You want some help in your drafts?
Let's talk about Derek Carr at 15, Neil. How do you feel about Derek Carr at QB 15?
Terrible.
Terrible. I agree.
He's better than Cousins. He's better than Lance. What is this? Better than Rodgers. Better than Stafford.
Better than Rodgers.
Put him right up there, right behind Russell Wilson. Around
Better
there.
than Stafford.
Somewhere up there. Somewhere next to
Oh,
Wilson.
boy.
It's way
I
too
couldn't
low.
find like a good way of looking at some of these other ADPs. I did find I can pull up Fantasy Pros, and they show a couple, different sources, sleeper and stuff like that. So I'm trying to pull up some of these, and then maybe we can look at that. Unless you got something for me, then and you just want to listen, then we'll keep talking.
No, I mean, other than that draft that we're in right now that you're doing, you picked a quarterback, you bailed.
Yeah, I didn't bail. I just,
Who did you take, Josh?
it was Winston.
Oh, okay.
Like, come on. Like, you're going to bail for Winston? Like, I don't see it. All the great players available, and you go for Winston. Like, you had to have him. Like, he was, I can't let this guy get by. Like, what?
Yeah, I couldn't let him get by.
I
In
don't
that
know.
format, dude, his week 1 was like 38 points, and then week 2 was a -3. I know what I'm getting. I know that's how it's gonna be with him, but like,
It's okay. I'll just take a regular running back, wide receiver, get 20 points while you're getting -3. It's fine,
It is so fun going into those super flex type leagues and not drafting quarterbacks and
Yeah,
just
it is.
being like so excited about your
this
roster.
was like what, 6th round, 5th round we're talking here. Okay, so I went a long time without it. Got pretty ugly, but it got really ugly by the time it got back to you.
But I mean, it's
Beginning
still
of the
ugly. All you have is Jameis, so your quarterbacks are still ugly. So I just don't see the point.
No, he's got upside, huge upside compared to the best possible pick I could have taken was like Eli Mitchell, and I don't even think he's been taken yet.
He's not. He's still there.
So he might make it back to me,
I was thinking
But
about
I get
taking
both.
him. I was thinking about taking him. Just got knew you might want him, but
Yeah,
I let it slide.
because he has that upside, It was Eli Mitchell, Mike Williams, or Winston. If it was those guys versus Mac Jones, I would have gone with one of them, not Mac Jones. But it was Winston. He has a little bit higher upside in this format. So I went for it. You just gotta go for it sometimes.
I hear you.
Yep. All right.
I hear you.
We're gonna look at this. Do we want to look at quarterbacks? This is basically, they took my rankings pretty much here. Okay, so there you go. Yeah, they took my rankings. There you go. Nothing to look at here. They still have Trey Lance. Okay, that's one off.
Trey Lance above Derek Carr. This is driving me crazy.
Yeah, but it's all within one.
Yeah,
It's all within one. This is boring. All right, running backs. Let's go. Come on, let's fix this. PPR. Come on, guys. Why is that not your default?
Yeah, I was gonna
Fantasy
say I wish
Pros?
that was the default.
Come on. Every time when I go to Fantasy Pros, it always drives me nuts. Looking at rankings, season scorings, like past season
Austin
results.
Eckler at 2.
Yeah,
All
this
right.
is funny. This is how I ended up with Christian McCaffrey at the 104 with an auto draft in a draft I didn't know was happening, because technically Austin Eckler is the running back 2 consensus, because some people have McCaffrey like
As low as like 5.
lower. Yeah. And so those outliers are pushing down the average. So you average 2.5 versus 2.8. It's hilarious. It should not be, but it is, according to the average. What do we see? Anything here we hate? They have Najee Harris all the way up at 5. They have Chubb all the way up at 10.
Where would you put
PPR.
Josh Jacobs, Neil? Where are you putting Josh Jacobs?
Where do you think he's going to be?
I don't know, man.
I don't either.
It's more of a concern with Josh McDaniel. Like, I don't know what this guy's going to do, man. So
Let's
I had
scroll
to see
down.
him. We have to see how it plays out. I mean, obviously they like White. I mean, he's been clearly doing really well in the preseason.
Saquon Barkley 14. Okay, here's the guys who's listening. We got some viewers. Saquon Barkley should not be running back 14. Okay? I get it. Maybe you think I'm a little high at 5. At least get him, around the Najee Harris 8-9 range. But he
Meet you
should
in the
not
middle.
be 14. This is so stupid. And this is old, delayed. I guarantee you it's not 14 and like underdog and these higher stakes kind of drafters. I guarantee you he's not running back 14. But in your home leagues, he just might be.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of those home leagues might go straight off of these charts, off these rankings.
There he is, Josh Jacobs, 20.
I mean, it's great value there if you ask me.
I have him at 22.
I think it's good value at 20. I mean, come on.
I think you're getting what you're paying for, but that's it. I'd rather have Elijah Mitchell.
I mean,
behind him.
and the Raiders didn't pick up his next year of his contract or anything. I mean, they might just try to run him into the ground. So, I mean, he could get a lot of carries, man.
We talked about that earlier. That's not McDaniel's style.
It's not, but it's
He's
like,
not
I don't know,
going to do
man.
it just because of that kind of reason.
No,
Like,
he wouldn't do it just because of that. But I mean, do you really think he's going to do everything exactly how he did in New England? Like, exactly? There's a chance. I mean, he hasn't played Josh Jacobs at all in preseason except like one game for a little while. I mean, I don't know.
Well, yeah, he does things his way, because that was the thing. He played him in the first preseason game when it's usually just scrubs playing.
Yeah.
And people were like, oh, freaking out about it. But he just wanted him to get a couple touches of get actually tackled for real.
Yeah.
Which actually I think should be the way we do it with running backs. So go out there, get tackled twice, and you're done.
But meanwhile, your Patriots today against the Raiders were running all the starters out there for like the whole first quarter, at least. Almost.
Yeah, but we're in like third, fourth. Well, I don't even know what they call it now, but we usually call this the third preseason game, right? So this is when that's typically those guys all the time.
But his predecessor, Josh McDaniels, didn't do that.
No,
No
McDaniels
Derek
does
Carr,
his
no
own
Josh
thing.
Jacobs.
He is
no
not
none.
Bill Belichick. He absolutely is not. So
Yeah.
I'm not saying he is, but I doubt he did not pick up that mindset where it doesn't matter once you're on the team, like you're on the team and it doesn't matter what your contract is, like we're going to play the best player. Like I guarantee you that's in his mind from Belichick.
Come on, Josh, get in on this storyline with us, man.
I was just wondering where Hunter Renfrow was. I don't see him in the top 30 wide
Because these are
receivers.
disrespectful again on these rankings from Fusion over here.
In mine?
Disrespectful. He's not in the top 30.
He's not even on the screen. It
Ooh.
just stops at Juju. If you're
Disrespectful.
below 30,
at
you
the
don't
very
matter.
least, wherever he has Renfro ranked, he should be on that list. Just it can say 45, Hunter Renfro after 30, but you don't take Hunter Renfro off the list.
Oh my goodness. There he is right there, 31. He's got him at 31 on the
How many
machine
players need to speak highly of this guy? How many defensive backs and safeties and analysts have to speak this guy up for
So
Josh?
he should be like right around Amon-Ra, Elijah Moore.
It's tough though when you look at those names. I
He
mean,
should be ahead of Amari
honestly,
Cooper. I'm taking him ahead of Amari Cooper. Just for you, Neil. I'm gonna fix this. We're gonna fix this.
Thank you.
We're gonna go over here.
What do you do when you're me?
We're gonna
You're in a
find-
dynasty league. You have Devontae Adams and Hunter Renfro.
Honestly, you know why I probably didn't rank him? It's because I didn't even find him on the list.
Josh, what do you do, man?
are you asking me like when you should draft Hunter Renfro?
No. Like I have both on my roster.
I don't care about that. I don't
So what
care
do you do though? I mean, are you going to start them both? Are you going to trade one? What are you going to do?
Wait and see what happens.
Wait and see how it plays out.
Yeah. I mean,
what are you waiting for though? I mean, you already know how this is going to work.
well, I mean, Devontae Adams is probably going to be pretty good, but I feel like there's room for Hunter Renfro.
There definitely is. That's what I mean. But would you have it in you to start them both and keep them on your lineup?
Maybe if I thought they were going to have a really high scoring game, like if they were going to, you know what I mean? If they're playing the Buccaneers, I'm probably starting them both.
Yeah, let's get Hunter. I'm glad. If I came for anything, it's to at least get Hunter Renfro on these rankings, and that's all that matters.
All right, there you go. He's in there. I gotta go back and do the work of like moving.
I feel like I've accomplished something here.
Moving people, but for now, it's done. He's moved. All right, gonna resort it. There you go. He's right there with Amari Cooper. I gotta fix it. There's a tie right now, but we'll go back later.
I feel a little more peace in my soul now.
Yeah. No, honestly, I do think that's where he should be. Somewhere between that, like Allen Robinson and Amari Cooper kind of area there.
Yeah.
He does belong. There's too many wide receivers. We have 36 top 20 wide receivers, and that math doesn't add up.
Yeah.
It doesn't.
Well, it just makes like a really slow decline in points per game, right? Like between 12 and 24, and
Yeah. Yeah.
The problem is I may be the Carr owner, the Darren Waller owner, the Josh Jacobs owner.
In Dynasty, I would. But I think he'll get you some points. And some of that is my growing concern about Waller's health. I think Renfro can legitimately be the second target in this offense at this point.
Yeah. It's going to be a fun offense.
Whereas people, I think, were before expecting him to be stuck behind Waller and Adams. But if Waller's speed up, then he will probably be the second target.
I mean, that's one thing when you look at the wide receiver rankings, there are so many like duos here. Like so many, top wide receiver duos at this point, like all over the top of the rankings. So I guess we're not afraid of that too much anymore, right? I mean, we're breaking that myth.
Well,
That's good.
there's an
That's
average of
progress.
2, sometimes 3 a year.
Mhm.
And we've got Chase and Higgins. I've already got projected in there. Evans and Godwin are close, right? And who else?
Cup and A-Rob are far apart, but on the list.
You got Hill and Waddle.
Yeah, that's true.
There it is, Hill and Waddle. I knew there was another one. Hill and Waddle are not too far away. And then further down, you got Keenan and Mike Williams.
Yeah, back to back.
And then you have some possibilities with what was I looking at? I mean, Ayuk. I didn't even get that far.
And the only thing is also
He
when you
could
look at the
jump up
tight
in
end,
24.
when you look at the tight end rankings, Waller is the only one of these like top even 10 tight ends that share those wide receiver duos too. You know what I mean?
Oh, you're calling Renfro and Adams in one of the duos. Okay, got
Yeah,
it.
to me, he is.
Gotcha.
To me, he is.
Oh,
Not
no.
25. I mean, it's a duo to me. I don't know.
Well,
Does
you
that
got
mean I have
Devonta
to
Smith
fade
and AJ
Waller?
Brown. Devonta Smith, AJ Brown, and Goddard.
Oh, yeah, it's kind of close, too.
I think that
I
one's
don't
pretty
know.
fair. And then you got Hunter Henry and Jacoby Myers and Kendrick Bourne.
Yeah.
I draft Kendrick Bourne like Kendrick Brown.
Okay, maybe not. Yeah, I'm looking through this running backs consensus. We got ESPN on this list, and so they got 15 for Saquon. So guys, we learn here on this one is let's actually be official here and try to help people who are listening or watching.
Yeah.
As if there's people listening or watching. Nick Chubb should not be running back 10 in PPR. Sorry, and Saquon Barkley should not be 14 or 15. You need to swap those.
Yeah, you can swap
if
those
not,
too.
If not, take Barkley even higher. So there's your running back takeaway. All right. Wide receivers. Let's go. At least they got Cup for first. That's right. They got that right. That's good.
He's not going to finish there.
Okay, sure. All right, moving on. They're higher on Evans than we are. Even all the that's gonna fall.
I looked at Evan's win rates today because of that Adam Koffler tweet, and he's like every other year he's good in win rate.
Yeah.
They also got Keenan Allen 10 spots higher than yours.
Yeah, they do. They came in on a lot higher.
This is the first year that I have not drafted Keenan Allen, and it feels like a mistake.
There's just a lot of little subtle signs of decline, which I hate to say it, but it's showing. And if Mike Williams can stay healthy, I think he can actually take over that, at least in points, fantasy points, the wide receiver one on the team. Keenan is probably going to end up with more targets if we're basing wide receiver one based on target share, but in real like yards and production, touchdowns and yards, I could easily see Mike Williams ending up surpassing Keenan this year, which is why I have him back to back there. Keenan is safer, and Mike Williams does have higher upside at this point. They have AJ Brown all the way down at 11. ESPN has 13.
Oh my god! Like if I start RB heavy and get AJ Brown as my wide receiver one, I don't even feel like I missed out. And I know that he hasn't produced like that really. Like I have a little bit of bias for him, but I feel like he has the ceiling.
I really like that situation with Jalen Hurts and the Eagles, college connection, even the style. Like we're talking about Jalen Hurts throwing the ball. He was throwing it downfield. I don't need him throwing it downfield. Throw short intermediate to AJ Brown, let him go. That's what he does in the slot. Like just rack up those passes, and that's why I have Jalen Hurts high too. I had issues with Devonta Smith, just as Devonta Smith, and mostly was confirmed. I think he was good, but I don't think he's a wide receiver one. I think he's in the perfect role right now.
Yeah. I got AJ Brown like in the 4th round in Scott Fishbowl, and I felt good about it.
Hell yeah!
It's crazy. I see him in the 3rd round, and it's like
if he plays all the games, man, he's like he has the ceiling for sure. 17 points per game, easy.
And there's Pittman, 12 on ESPN. 13
I don't like it. I don't like Pittman. He's a late breakout. I think his last season was maybe his best season. Like I think he just peaked.
I think he can repeat that. Like I think Ryan isn't going to be worse than Wentz, but I think Wentz wasn't as bad for him. In some ways, he probably helped him because he kind of locked onto him, at least for a stretch. He didn't do well in the second half of the season, not compared to his first half. So I can see him just repeating, like just doing what he did last year. It's going to be good, but I don't think it's like top 12 upside. I'm surprised on this. Deontay Johnson, they still have high. The other guy jumped in with this earlier, Jason. He was a little lower. I meant to come back around on that and touch on it, but Deontay Johnson, I think the attitude is that he got a quarterback downgrade, and I don't think that's true.
No, I don't think so either.
Yeah, I think Trubisky is going to be just as good as Roethlisberger, if not possibly better. But not as good for Najee Harris as Roethlisberger was.
Right.
And so, but again, that's a positive for Harris, Deontay Johnson, and for the other receivers possibly. I might have just talked myself into Freiermuth, but but no, I think Deontay Johnson's been the best receiver by far on a team, on a bad offense with a bad quarterback. So why isn't he going to do it again?
So Trubisky or Pickett, you don't care either way, or does Pickett bother you?
I don't like Pickett, but I'm not worried about him. I just don't.
Yeah.
I think as long as Trubisky doesn't implode, I think this is the best situation Trubisky's ever been in.
Yeah.
And look back at his 2018 season, his sophomore season. There was legitimate reasons to be excited about him going into that third year. And then it was ugly.
Yeah.
And I don't know how much that is on Trubisky or the team. There was a lot of problems there, coaching, team, everything. So this is quite possibly as good a team situation as Trubisky's had, at least since that sophomore season, if not ever. And so, and that's something that the Steelers are a good organization and they do well to begin with.
Yeah.
Tomlin is, I mean, not my favorite coach, but he
it's the best weapons he's ever had, though, for Trubisky, for sure.
And exactly, the weapons then. So just the whole team environment is better, coaching is better, and then the weapons are best he's ever had, for sure.
And we're talking narrative, so this is great.
Yep.
Josh is like,
that one.
Where are the stats? What are you guys talking about?
So, yeah, I'm surprised he's there. He belongs right there.
DJ Moore, Baker.
I would take Deontay, DJ, Jalen, and maybe Terry McLaurin over Michael Pittman. And then like DK Metcalf, I could talk myself into it because DK Metcalf has a 17 point per game season, I think, and Michael Pittman doesn't.
I could probably talk myself into Mike Williams over Michael Pittman even.
Well, Metcalf is one
over Michael Pittman.
You know what? Yeah. I think Michael Pittman and Mike Williams should be back to back in a lot of rankings, and I don't mean that, to be insulting. I just think that they're similar players.
The thing with Metcalf is, again, just like Deontay, we're acting like this is a change in situation, but it's literally the same quarterback.
Well, I don't understand. For Metcalf?
But I mean, yeah, for Metcalf. I mean, it's not the same quarterback, but I mean, it's the same. Like, Drew is going to run around, scramble, and chuck the ball, but
it might not matter. The difference, it might be, we'll see. Man, if
we saw him hyper targeted by Geno Smith, he was actually almost better with Geno Smith.
Right. I understand. I think I understand what you're saying. Man, if that's true, then like quarterbacks don't matter.
You're trying to separate like Russell Wilson is clearly a better quarterback than Drew Lock, but you're like he's still the same kind of quarterback. As you're trying to say, which is hard for most people to.
Yeah,
might be
exactly.
Better getting you NFL wins, but as far as elevating the offense, I'm not sure. Like, there's a big bell curve there where, like, in the middle of the bell curve, the quarterback doesn't change a ton. It's at the very peak that they really improve the whole team, and then you've got the what's his name?
Mason Rudolph?
No, the Denver and Browns tall guy.
Oh, Brock Osweiler.
Yes, you've got the Osweiler line, where even Hopkins, even DeAndre Hopkins couldn't be good with him.
I don't know. I'm not gonna sit here and
was-
co-sign that
He
they're
was
saying
good
quarterback.
with everyone, like bad quarterbacks, and Hopkins was still good. And then he got that guy. What's his name?
Osweiler.
Osweiler. Yes, I knew it was an O. That's all.
I
was
hear
like,
what you're saying. I'm not gonna say that.
Yeah.
You know, I would definitely be more concerned with Drew Lock than Russell Wilson. Like I get what you're saying, but I'm still not gonna say like, yeah, they're the same kind of quarterback. Like I get what you're saying, and DK Metcalf and players on the team could still score points, still be good on offense, and they lose game after game after game. But I still just know that it is a drop off period from Russell Wilson to Drew Lock, and that's going to matter to me. And we don't even know how this team is going to handle not having a Russell Wilson type quarterback, like a leader, winning games. Like who knows how much this affects the team? I mean, when the team starts falling apart or going down and not winning games, like that affects everything across the board. And again, I know my narrative's here, but that's just how I feel. So I can't co-sign. I get what you're saying.
I would
can't go
love
along
to
with it.
see Hard Knocks Seattle this year.
I think Gino might win that job.
He really might.
If you're in Dynasty, look, if you're in Dynasty and you have a super flex and you've got bad quarterbacks, you need to pick up Geno Smith. Make sure he's on the end of your roster.
I'm writing that down.
Yeah, because we know, Josh, you have lots of super flex with teams with bad quarterbacks.
I don't know how I got so much. I think I might be really, really bad at trading. This is what I'm realizing. Probably entirely too late. But I have so much Taylor Heineke.
Yeah, I'm looking at this list. What was the other name I saw? Oh, they have Chris Godwin at. I don't even understand how he's at 21. I guess it's because they averaging out, but ESPN has him at 27. That is a huge win right there. Look, I know it may be a slow first month, but he's done everything and more than you could hope. I know I've said I don't like drafting guys that are injured going into the season, but this isn't injured. This is recovering well. You know, it's not the same thing.
I would take Godwin behind Deontay and Jalen, but over Michael Pittman. That's what I would.
Fair. Oh yeah, and I think that's where I have him. I have 14. I do have him ahead of Deontay Johnson. That would be like I could go either way, and I think I did in a redraft today. I took Deontay Johnson instead of Godwin, and it was between the two of them.
Jalen too. Jalen went 15 points per game year one. That's pretty good.
Yeah, it was good. He was good. I'm wondering about. They have Sutton down here. That's about right. They have Brown. Yeah, I don't see you guys seen anything. No Renfro. No Renfro.
Darnell
here.
Mooney. What? I mean, okay, fine. Like Darnell Mooney does not belong there.
You're hating on him?
Yeah, I don't like him that much.
I like Mooney.
What? Tell me the story, Neil.
No, I'm not telling you a story. It's not story time right now. I'm just telling you I like Mooney.
Okay.
Why don't you like Mooney? You tell me a story.
I think his points per game by year is something like 9 and 12. He's Gabe Davis.
All right, Allen Robinson's gone now. Someone's got to be the big
else.
dog, hopefully. I know a lot of people are just afraid of this offense, this team in general. But I don't know. I mean, Mooney, he's he's tried here and there. He's shown, some things that he's capable of, Josh.
What if he's Jalen Waddle light?
That's not Jalen Waddle.
You gotta have some faith. If you're not taking Mooney and you need a wide receiver in this spot,
does not compute, sir. Syntax
He's not
error.
dissimilar from Waddle.
Except for that he didn't score 15 points per game year one. That just I can't do whatever this is you're doing. I don't understand.
No, he was lower draft capital, lower all of that. Yeah, that's the light part.
Okay.
What part didn't you get? But he exceeded all expectations and is a smaller, quick player who has done really well. And so his trajectory now he's the wide receiver one. What's wrong?
Everything you just said makes sense to me, but it just doesn't change the equation.
I don't even have him on here.
I don't mind listening to your words, but 15 points per game year one.
No, I have the machine likes him as wide receiver 28. There you go.
Listen, all the reports out of camp and stuff where he's doing good.
I don't want to cheer against Darnell Mooney. He feels like what's up, Rich?
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, okay, fine. At wide receiver 28, that looks like a great spot for him.
So Gabriel Davis, 26 on ESPN now, ahead of Hunter Renfrow.
Ooh.
I actually love Gabriel
and
Davis
Elijah
too.
Moore and Michael Thomas, who's like, by all accounts, healthy.
What?
I actually like this range of wide receivers.
It's a fun range. It drops off real quick though, right about here. You like get to Ayuk and Woods, and then it's Lazard's like the last one. There you go, off the cliff. You're
Are
gone.
you getting a break out of Lazard?
No, but he's like the last fringe guy, you know.
Who needs Lazard? It's all about Romeo.
And then it's downhill from there.
Romeo, who I got outbid on. I cannot believe it.
Dubs.
Barrel, man.
Did you guys all forget that Trubisky was like a free agent in that league?
I bid everything on him.
No, not that one. The
Oh.
other one. The one you left.
I have a lot of quarterbacks, so I didn't even look at it.
Yeah, I got him for like $12.
Barrel took every guy I tried to bid on.
I know. Josh here paid like what 100?
Yes, all of it. All of it. I am so shit at waivers. I might as well.
We did a run. Our first run was actually yesterday, and Trubisky wasn't claimed at all.
Nice.
So
Oh my
I
God.
made
I love
room on
that.
my roster, and I made a claim for $12, and I got him.
A starting quarterback. He's not claimed.
I have
Everybody-
Herbert and Murray.
Everybody was like, nah.
Yeah, that's
I
why
have
he picked him
Herbert,
up and then he
Murray,
immediately
and
put him on the block.
Winston, and I
He
put
picked
him
him
on
up-
the trade block.
Yeah, he put him on the trade block immediately. And I was like, wait, what's going on here?
Somebody's gonna have injuries and is gonna need him, and I'm gonna get a third or something out of it.
That's very realistic. I paid a price that says I'm starting him.
Yeah, so here we go. Hawkinson's at tight end 7. Otherwise, I have my same top 5.
I think we should petition the NFL to have Dalton Schultz's first name changed to Joe Schultz,
Yeah.
just so that he can be like Joe Mixon, Joe Schultz, Joe
Yeah.
Burrow.
Yes, I agree. I'm surprised that I'm surprised Hawkinson hasn't fallen behind Goddard, but maybe enough people are tuned into the fact he's like the third guy on the Eagles, which is not great, but he does have the talent to overcome that. Knox at 10.
I don't think so.
Did you guys know that? Do you know what tight end had the most touchdowns per target last year?
Oh, probably Pat, just based on what I've heard.
Nope.
Is Dawson
Nope.
touchdowns per target?
Yep.
Was it
I don't know. I'm not going to guess.
Mark Andrews? Hunter
Ding,
Henry?
ding, ding. It's Hunter Henry.
So what are you saying? What are you trying to say?
Regression, probably.
I don't know.
Same
big-
spot. I'm taking him there. He's gonna get me top 12
Josh is over here sneezing. What's going on, man?
points. I don't know. He doesn't know where the mute button is. Apparently, he's gonna get me top 12 points in tight end, but at like tight end, what is this? 14,
Yeah.
13 price. I'll take that every time. That's my late guy target every time. I'll even reach on him a little bit, get him at tight end like 10, 11, because I think he can legitimately return higher than that. Because I think he and Mac Jones are just a great pairing, especially if you can stack that. But not necessarily thinking about stacks in redraft. Noah Fant here. That's the guy who literally has the same quarterback that he used to have. He got traded along.
Now this time I agree with you.
Like nothing's changed, you know. Cortland Sutton, Jerry Jeudy. Okay, so I guess you could say DK and Lockett are better,
Yeah.
but it's
That
literally
seems
the
safe.
same quarterback. I think he's a talented player who will be the third best target on that team. And if there's injury or touchdowns, I think he could actually surprise. But I might take a shot on Njoku over him.
I know you hate Irv.
Yeah, Irv's terrible.
Yeah.
David,
Again, they're running 3 wide receivers out. KJ Osborne all day. KJ Osborne, Adam Thielen, of course Jefferson. This guy hasn't been able to do it when he's healthy, and then now he keeps getting hurt. I don't get it. Tyler Conklin was just as good. He's not going to be better than Tyler Conklin was last year.
There's some tight ends returning from injuries, though, man. Some interesting ones.
We were super happy about Logan Thomas actually coming off PUP.
Yeah.
Early reports this summer made it sound like he was gonna be on PUP or and we weren't gonna see him till October. But that's a really good one down there late. And Higbee should not be that late. That's just people being so annoyed at him because they were drafting him too early in past seasons and now they don't like him. They're just, they got PTSD from Higbee and they're not drafting him. But he belongs. Actually, ESPN has him at 16, Sleeper at 16. That's probably where he should be. I don't even have him that high. But he's going 20. He's been going 25 or something behind Hayden Hurst guys, which is ridiculous. Maybe he's been moving up. I don't know. Maybe somebody's listening to me.
oh my gosh, Austin Hooper, so low.
Yeah. That's another one. I mean, what do they got in Tennessee now? Yeah. Woods. Woods does sound like Woods is healthy.
Westbrook, Akini.
Nick Westbrook Akine is going to be the wide receiver too.
Slot, right? I've been
I
drafting.
guess. He's actually severely underrated in deep leagues. I have him in a lot of leagues.
I take him a lot as my wide receiver 7 or 8.
But they want Burks to be something there. But that still puts Hooper around the third or fourth target. That's not bad.
Nah, I like him.
I just picked up Hurst. Come on, guys. Say something good about him.
Hayden Hurst, great hair.
Draft capital.
Great hair. That's all I got.
Okay.
All right, we got any questions? Rich was in here, just said hi, didn't ask questions. Nobody's got questions.
He said you're on the clock, which is a lie. I don't know. Is he trying to stress
You
us
were
out?
on the clock.
Huh?
Come on. You used to be.
I already picked.
When did you draft? A while ago? Was this some other draft I don't know about?
Oh, maybe you're in
Being
another
honest.
draft. Maybe you're in another draft with him.
He's not talking to me. I'm pretty sure he's talking to you.
I'm not on the clock.
I don't have any drafts.
I picked Brandon
That's the
Cook,
only
so I'm
draft
not
I
on the
got
clock.
going on.
Very nice.
All right. I'm going to show this one. This is because it's the Fusion Flex draft. You're all missing out, except Neil. He got in on it. But all the rest of you out there and Josh, you're all missing out. This is a really fun league. It's the one with 4 super flex slots, but you don't have to start a quarterback. And so that kind of frees you up, takes off the shackles of quarterback oppression. Josh, you would have loved it. And
I don't know what to do with this.
which is why it's fun. You just do what you want. You can literally just take the players, draft the team you want. It's all about the players, which is why I took Jameis Winston.
Terrible pick.
But yeah, I went Deontay Johnson, and it went all the way around. No, that was on the way back through, then came back over. It's coming back to me. And some of the guys I liked are still there, so I'm crossing my fingers. We'll see who gets back to me.
He basically copied my pattern, and then at quarterback decided to bail because he couldn't hang anymore.
You're high on Derrick Henry. I will tell you that.
In this format, he's 12th 27 points per game or something last year.
I think you either buy the story about him being touched, this sounds creepy, but being touched to death, like, or you don't, right?
Yeah, but even if he just like is awesome for half a season, I'll take it. Like,
I have a hard time believing that he's just like toast because of a number.
I don't think he's gonna just go like slowly into fading into being nothing. I think he's gonna be worked and used and be good, and then he's gonna get hurt, and it's just you're never gonna see that Derrick Henry again.
Oh, that's sad.
It's sad, but at the same time, it's gonna happen now much further into his career than most running backs have that happen. So,
I guess that's true.
It's gonna be more like I don't know, Chris Johnson or something, but he's already outlasted that. So I was ecstatic at Derrick Henry and Cooper Kupp because they literally had the 2 highest points per game in this scoring format last year. And
I get it. I don't mind it.
And I know I'm not expecting him to both do that exactly, obviously. Neil Stander's shaking his head. But
Derrick
come on,
Henry.
I'm at the end. I'm at the 11th slot.
This guy,
okay? I'm at the 11th
it's his
slot.
league, it's his score, and he thinks he's figured out the Konami code here. He's like Derrick Henry, Cooper Kupp. It's not going to play out the way he wants it.
I can show you the graphs, the charts.
That's okay. It's not going to play out that way because my team is clearly way better than everybody else's. So
right,
we'll see how this goes.
No, you're doing what the guy who did last year, who finished in last place did. So,
I used to teach with this guy. His name is Bobby Rockle. Okay, and the Bobby Rockle. It didn't matter like what new curriculum we got. It didn't matter what new policy was in place. Bobby Rockle just always went into the classroom and he did Bobby Rockle always. And he always pretty much just got good results. Like, and it didn't even matter. And like, that's kind of how I see Neil.
Shout out to Bobby Rockle, man.
Yeah.
Whatever he's doing right now in life, he's winning. That's all that matters.
Good start calling Neil Bobby.
I might change my team name to Bobby Rockle.
There you go.
But like Bobby Rockle never once got cute or outsmarted himself. he just always showed up and did his thing.
So since you think you drafted the best team, clearly, who's your second favorite draft here?
I mean, Frito did pretty well. He went quarterback heavy.
Super heavy.
And still ended up with Monty and Jacobs is like, I think he went wrong with Gabe Davis, but he's just getting guys he likes.
It's actually perfect where I was drafting because I put the pressure on him to keep grabbing Raiders.
It was really funny that you guys ended up next to each other. It was purely random, but I was like, that's nice. I don't know. I haven't really looked carefully at the other teams so far. I will say it seemed like there was a little bit more early quarterback action this year than there has been in the past 2 years we've done this format, this league. And I don't know whether or not that becomes something where it's just like you just take a quarterback there and then the rest of the draft starts up in the 3rd round, which is what happened with running backs. You can see there. It's like everyone's like, okay, now we're done. We did the quarterback rounds and now we're going to start drafting the other players. And at that point, you're like, how much is it really actually worth it fading? And should you just kind of like just go along with it? Maybe just take one and then take the other guys too. I'm not sure how much. That's why I wanted to do it this way. We'll see how much of a difference this actually has. Not like a difference, but how different it looks week to week from the other teams. Like I'm interested to see if I can keep up.
People are going to be bummed when I win with Goff and Wentz.
Yeah, well, look, hey, Trubisky,
there you go.
Yeah,
Geno Smith,
really, really good in this format.
I have to grab
just like Scott Fishbowl. I did a Scott Fishbowl study and was surprised to find that Trubisky was one of the few quarterbacks who had a top 20 points per game average in Scott Fishbowl, and it was that 2018 season.
Interesting.
He took care of the ball and he ran a good amount and had a bunch of touchdowns and threw for a decent percentage, which you need in this kind of scoring because it counts the completions and incompletions against you. And then just pulled out a solid score. You can go in here and look up Trubisky and you'll see his game log from that season, and it's just like 20, 20, 25, 30, 20 point week after week.
Nice. Yeah, I'm gonna roll the dice on some guys at the end and just see how it goes. I might even pick them here coming up next back to back for myself. Who knows? We'll see who's left.
Yeah, I don't love 11 this year, but in this format, it's whatever. It doesn't make difference. I do like being towards an end, so I can kind of double tap these guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're 3 away, I'm 1 away, or 2 away, and I'm 1 away, and those are nice spots. Last year, I think I was 6th spot, and I did like a quarterback and then a running back, and then a quarterback, and then I waited on wide receiver, and then I hit on guys like Debo late, so it worked out for me. But
the person who won last year, did they go quarterback heavy early or what?
Byronchenko has won both years.
Wow.
Yeah, he's sneaky. He's had some luck. He got lucky with in 2020. He got lucky with Aaron Rodgers cheap, and then he had that great season when everyone was worried about him. So he's had very balanced teams. Yeah,
right.
He hasn't gone all in on anything. He's just had balanced teams, and he's hit on the guys that he had. It's basically
kind of what he's doing now.
Yeah, he's doing it again. So if those guys work out, he's going to look just fine. And those are guys I generally like. I mean, like we were talking about CeeDee Lamb, I'm not super high on him, but I think A.J. Brown should have gone ahead of him, but I have him right after that.
Yeah. Should be fun.
Yeah, so there you go. That's Fusion Flex. You guys missed out. You should have been all playing in it. We should have filled a second division. But none of you guys who say you're interested end up actually being interested when I ask. I get it.
You don't get it.
Doesn't too many leagues. I can't do it.
They just take kids. Josh had no choice.
Kids. They just take kids. You know,
Josh couldn't join. He felt too much pressure. He quit 2 of my leagues last year or this year. So now he's like, I can't possibly join this league.
That is true.
He felt too much pressure. I'm 100% sure that if I didn't know about this league,
really hard
he would
time.
join. For sure. And before we wrap this thing up, just so you know, the Raiders spanked the Patriots as expected.
Oh, did they?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I don't watch preseason.
You should though.
I mean, sometimes I have done Patriot. It just hasn't worked out this year. And of course, it was tonight, and last week it was when I was doing something else. And I kind of just see, who was playing, who did what, who stood out, and that's about it.
Whoever Kate Harris is, he was your best runner of the day.
Who?
Harris.
Which one?
Kevin Harris.
That's my sleeper dude, man.
4 carries, 54 yards.
That's my sleeper dude. I keep telling people I had him as my rookie running back 5. Which
you might be on
the draft. Pre-draft.
You might be on something.
Pre-draft rank. He had an injury in college, but the rest of his production is solid. And yeah, I think he can. I mean, the problem is they've got too many other guys there. They've got Damian Harris, and Stevenson is looking good. I think he could very likely take over the technical lead role.
Yeah.
They're more comfortable using him in the receiving game than they are Damian Harris for some reason. So, and that's kind of what I see with Josh Jacobs. I'm afraid that he's going to be like your Damian Harris.
Yeah.
He's going to rely on yards and touchdowns, but he's not going to get the receiving work. And it's only because Damian Harris was getting touchdowns last year that he ended up where he did. I mean, he ended up running back 15 or something, or maybe even better. But it was because of touchdowns. He should have been right around the 20 range, which is where I have Jacobs now.
Yeah, it'll suck to be someone who always hated in fantasy the Patriots backfield and how it worked to be a fan of a team now that may do the exact same thing. I'll have to deal with
Patriots
it on a weekly
West.
basis. It'll
Patriots
suck. But
West.
as long as it leads to W's, I guess, but in real football, but in fantasy, it'll suck for me.
When you're hoisting the Lombardi, the Super Bowl in like 5-6 years here, you know, maybe 3. I'll give you like 2 or 3 years. In 2 or 3 years.
And let me ask you this: you said you don't pay much attention to preseason, but Drew Lock threw 3 interceptions today. Anything that? I mean, that seems interesting, right?
That's Drew Lock. Like I said, I can see Geno taking that job.
Not very Russell Wilson like.
That part is not Russell Wilson like. I was actually, when I was saying that, I was thinking more about how he runs around and scrambles and doesn't dump off to running backs, just like Russell Wilson. So like the whole, all the running back issues, and I see that being a problem for Javonte that people don't want to talk about. But Locke and Russ have some of the lowest running back like target rates in the league. So before we wrap up, Jason jumping back in here. Was Jason right?
Yeah, you're right.
Over here. Yeah, over here.
I had it on mute there for a second. No, I was looking over at the game because like I jumped back on because because the comment about Drew Lock throwing 3 interceptions was kind of funny. Geno's got that job. He was only in there for like a series or so.
You think he's got it already locked up?
Oh yeah, 3 of 6 for 43 yards for Geno, and then Drew Lock went 13 for 24, 171, a touchdown and 3 picks. So
that makes me happy about my DK Metcalf ranking then, because he's gonna get hyper targeted by Geno.
Yeah, I think so as well. It was pretty sloppy of a game though. Once Drew Lock got in there.
Let's see. What was I going to say? I don't remember. How did Dallas do on the other side? Like, who was running the ball? What was going on?
I didn't catch a lot of the game, to be honest. I did see that they were down like 10-0 at one point and came all the way back.
Probably thanks to those interceptions.
Well, yes. Let's say I can't remember the DB's name now, but he had 2 of them. One of the guys had 2 picks on him.
All right, I'm wondering who's the next running back up, after Pollard and Zeke. It's going to be an interesting spot, I think.
That's the dude from Florida, Davis.
Did he take it over?
Yeah, he ran pretty good to start.
Is Dowdle, because Rico Dowdle, right, was there. He kind of was in that just de facto default position, but he was hurt last year.
Yeah, Malik Davis, I think, is his name. I think he's going to end up taking it over.
Is Dowdle hurt again, or is it just that guy's taking it over?
To be honest, I hadn't even seen anything on him.
Yeah, he might be
just looking at the stats. I mean, it shows Aaron Champlin had 54 yards on 13 rushes, and Malik Davis had 15 carries for 44 yards. Those are their leading rushers.
Yeah. Don't even know who that is.
Make of that what you will.
Another fun one in deep leagues is the Jalen Warren in Pittsburgh. When you're at the very end of your drafts and all the other, backups, handcuffs have been taken. If you're drafting right now this weekend, just throw him on your bench. And even if you end up, he's the first guy you cut, the first waiver run after week 1, that's fine. But for all you know, week 1 or leaving up to week 1, Najee Harris gets hurt. There you go. You always stash those backups. I'll stash backups like during the week, and then just cut them again.
Yeah, I know.
like just during the week, I've got a couple extra bench spots Tuesday you just throw them on the end, and then Saturday you swap them back out,
Mm-hmm.
and just repeat. I mean, if you can carry them over through the games, that's even better. But sometimes you just want them on your team just in case something happens at a practice or a
Yeah,
Thursday game.
Yeah,
it's a good move.
yeah, and like you said, I mean, you listen to the news, and if something pops off about a player, then just drop him back off. It doesn't hurt anything to hold him on a roster before the game. So
All right, guys. I think we beat all this stuff to death, I guess. I don't see any more questions. We went over some ADP, guys, while you were away. I don't know if I pulled that up. I don't know where it went. Here it is. The biggest thing we noticed was the ridiculousness of some of these running back ranks in PPR with like Chubb at 10, but Barkley at 14.
yeah,
That was pretty silly.
Yeah, that is silly. Like I said to you about Barkley earlier, I think a lot of people are lower on him than they should be.
I was all in about him last year, and everything was going according to plan. I was saying it's going to be a rough couple first weeks, through 2-3 weeks, but and I called it. I'm like, no, this is it. He's good, and he had 2 amazing games, and then just had a fluke injury.
Yep.
And then by the time he came back, the rest of the team had also gotten all injured, and he was still not completely healthy, and so he didn't even look good the rest of the season. You saw some glimpses of it here and there, but I think you saw those 2 games, that weeks 3 and 4 last year, were what I was expecting from him, and I think you can see that this season again.
He looked like the Saquon that walked into this league in those weeks, and I think honestly the Giants have gone and built an offensive line, at least on paper right now.
Yeah.
That should support. Give Daniel Jones a little bit of time in the backfield, passing the ball or whatever, as well as giving Saquon the holes to get to that second level.
So those were our fade was Chubb at that price, and Barkley is the buy. And I think on the wide receivers, we're looking at DK Metcalf, especially with what we just talked about being too low here. He should be up, I think, ahead of Pittman, ahead of DJ Moore. McLaurin, definitely ahead of McLaurin. I love McLaurin as a player, but his points per game has just historically not been great. And I know Wentz is maybe better than what he's had, but I mean, Heineke threw it around. It wasn't. I mean, Heineke and Wentz, I don't think are a ton different.
Yeah, and I'm low on DK in my rankings because I wasn't sure about the quarterback situation. Knowing that it's going to be Drew Lock, I think I'm going to move him up a little bit because I think Geno. Knowing that it's going to be Geno, I'm going to have to move him up because I think Geno's going to be able to get him the ball in space. Drew Lock can get him the ball if he's downfield and wide open, and there's nobody around to contest. But I don't trust Drew Lock at all.
And then we had Chris Godwin also going, I think, too late. I don't want him as my wide receiver 1, but he's a perfect wide receiver 3. If like you go an early running back and then hit up nothing but wide receivers, I mean, if he can be your wide receiver 3, that is amazing.
If you can get Godwin at your wide receiver 3, that is an absolute steal. You should call 911 on yourself for that, to be honest, because he has the upside of a wide receiver 1, and he's a solid wide receiver 2. So if you're getting him at wide receiver 3 prices, you just pick up your cell phone and dial 911, and as soon as you hit submit, hit the other one. I
mean, for your fantasy team, the third one, maybe not necessarily ADP wide receiver 33, like not 36 to 25 range, but like I said, even ESPN has it at 27 there. I don't even get how that's possible.
That has to be because of the injury.
This is delayed, I'm sure. This is just consensus fantasy pros, but even still, not everyone's on it. Everyone's a little fearful. They've been hearing for months that he's going to be out until October. And yeah, he may not be great until October, but we're playing for November here. Come on, guys.
Yeah, but you got Tom Brady with, guys that he basically handpicked to come in there that he can throw the ball to. So he's got a little bit of time. They don't have to rush him back. So
he was loving Godwin last year. He was loving Godwin.
Well, when you got a guy that can play the slot or play the outside and do nothing but get open.
Yeah.
What was it earlier? I said, I think he had like 130 something, 124 targets, 98 receptions. So, I mean, that's pretty damn good.
Yeah, in 14 games. So
Yeah, in 14 games. You're right.
Yep. Neil, what do you got? Any more storylines for us?
No more today, man. I think we covered a good bunch of them.
All right.
Yeah, I will say Jameis Winston went 4 for 4 today, though.
And a touchdown, right? Or
I don't know if there's a touchdown, but I know the Chargers were just bad because Andy Dalton also went 5 for 5. Ian Book had a touchdown and did pretty well, so maybe it was the Chargers. But these are the kind of games you're looking for, Josh, from Jameis.
Yeah, I've been a believer in Jameis for years, all the way from back when he was on the Bucs and just throwing it like crazy. But I think he can mature a little bit here and increase that completion rate, be a little bit smarter with it, but he still has that ability to go deep and to hit some big plays. Hey, we got Coop. What do I think about robust running back strategy? It depends on your league. My thing is like high ground draft approach I've talked about in the past. I didn't talk about it tonight much, but high ground is basically it's an umbrella approach that lets you draft robust, zero running back, whatever. It's just extreme whatever you want to do. It's just high ground. So if you want to go running back high ground, the important thing is, oh, come on. I'm serious. So whatever you want to do, there's some principles to keep in mind, and you can do it. What? I don't know where this guy's going with this, but the idea with high ground is not to get caught up with the particulars of the position. It's to make the rest of the draft pay at the position you pick. So if you want to go running back, that's great, but you got to commit. You got to go all the way. You got to taking running backs when they think you're not going to anymore. They think they're safe on the turn to go with a different position, because they're not going to take their running back now. They're going to take their wide receiver because that's who they think you want, and they think that's who you're going to be reaching on. And so they go wide receiver thinking the running back's going to come back around to them, and they don't, because you take them, because you're still taking running backs. And yes, you're going to have a weak spot, but the thing about high ground is you go into the draft and you pick the position you want to be strong at, and you can have a backup in case things go sideways, but you also pick which position you're going to be the absolute worst in the league in. You want to be the worst in the league at that position. And typically it's often tight end. It's the easiest one to do it in a normal format, but you can do it at quarterback too, in a normal league format. Go into it and be like, look, I'm going to be the worst. And my friend Josh was on here. He does that with the quarterback too. And he's just saying, look, even in Superflex, you can have such a great team at all the other positions, and all you need to do is hit on a couple late quarterbacks, and you recoup like most of what you lost. Especially for what he's talking about, his best ball. But so there's a lot of things about format that goes into it. So that's what I say when it comes to high ground draft approach. If you want to go extreme, that's fine. You just stick with it. Pick what you're going to be good at. And the key is people don't do the second part, which is pick what you're going to be bad with. Accept it. Accept that you're going to suck at this position. And now if your league has waivers and trades, you know what to target now. You're not that if you're terrible at tight ends, you're bidding all in on Dalton Schultz last year, right? And now all of a sudden you have a great running backs and wide receivers, good quarterback, and you had the worst tight ends, but now you have the tight end for whatever it is because you knew that was your worst spot, and so you were committed to going all in, chasing a fix in a trade or in waivers. Meanwhile, the guy who drafted T.J. Hawkinson or something, he's like, well, I have T.J. Hawkinson. He's not been that high on Dalton Schultz because he has Hawkinson or Pitts. Drafted Pitts way high. So you know what you're bad at, and you know what you need to do to fix. You know what you need to fix. So that you have to do that part if you're going robust or zero or whatever you wanted to call it. If you're going high ground on a position, you have to go low on something else. That's the end of my thing.
That was pretty in depth. I mean, that's pretty good.
That's been my thing. A couple of years back, I was just, everyone was debating robust and zero running back, and I was just like, guys, what are the common principles here? And it's about creating scarcity for everyone else, and you don't want to reach, because what happens is you if you're doing robust running back, you get into those middle areas and you start reaching on that tight end or that quarterback or that wide receiver because you get scared. That's fine. You want them to make and reach on running backs because they're scared. That's the attitude you got to go into it with. There's no better feeling than going into a draft and taking running back, and you have amazing running backs, and then there's a bunch of wide receivers that are good, and you're picking them, and those guys are like reaching on the Pennies and the Clyde Edwards and the Hunts, and you can tell that they're tilting because they're like, I gotta get a running back.
Yeah, they're trying.
And I'm just laughing.
They're trying to fill that starting lineup.
Yeah, and they're reaching on it before it really should go.
Absolutely.
And then you already won. You already won.
And then you're just collecting value in the middle rounds, in wide receiver or, tight end or whatever. Yeah, no, it makes perfect sense when you say it that way.
Yeah. But you have to remember, and you have to go into that attitude. And that's the whole idea of the high ground is it's very principle based. It's not a strict strategy, but it's just helping you go into it intentionally and being like, okay, I'm going to be bad at this, but I need to be good at this. Don't reach. Sometimes values will fall to me and I can take them, but I have to know that they're values. I can't be reaching on things because I'm afraid that I'm bad at something. And so often, and you're not reacting anymore. You're going into it with a plan, but if you are reacting mid-draft, you're the guy who's tilting and making mistakes.
Yep.
So that's it.
That's awesome.
I'm done.
That was an awesome dissertation right there.
Hope you all have a great draft weekend. I've got my home leagues on Sunday, live in person on Sunday afternoon, and then online quick draft Sunday night. So I hope you got anything coming up?
No, I've got next Sunday is the last startup I'm doing, but it's a dynasty, so I don't have any redrafts coming up other than my
guys.
stuff.
FusionFFB.com. I am going to put these up, and you can follow me on Twitter at FusionFFB, and it's already up on tweets. You said going for two for you?
Yeah, I meant going for two. I'm on the going for two Thursday nights at the Dynasty Gambit on the YouTube channel, on Twitch. Jeff's got it on a bunch of other platforms as well. Also, started messing around and working around with Dynasty Intervention on Wednesday nights. So, yeah, check us out.
All right.
Josh, I appreciate you letting me get on tonight, man.
Yeah. Thanks for coming on.
Absolutely.
All right, guys. Enjoy. Have fun with your drafts. And good luck. All right, guys.
Good luck.
We're out.